Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for coming again, so we can share some more information with you. I'm just going to get going because I know we were running a little bit late. Again, this is about the shooting incident from this morning. And the idea of this is it's not going to be a comprehensive review of the entire incident from start to finish. This is in the spirit of transparency to give you guys as much information as we can, as soon as we can, about specifically about the use of force incident. As you all know by now, our officer-involved shootings are investigated by the Michigan State Police. We assist in any way we can. As well, once the Michigan State Police is concluded with their investigation, Kent County prosecutor also does an independent review. I have been in contact with both Michigan State Police and Kent County prosecutor Christopher Becker and informed that we were going to be sharing this information with you today. This is not a conclusive final analysis of anything. The investigation is very early, and the Michigan State Police have had a lot of work to do. There's going to be witnesses, it's going to be canvassing, a lot of information that they're going to be gathering. We won't become aware of until their independent investigation is completed. It's a lot of evidence usually collected in officer-involved shootings, so again, there's a lot of work to do. We're not coming to any conclusions today. We're not going to make any judgments on law or policy. Again, this is just for transparency, to give you the information that we're able to give you for now. These videos that we're showing today, you're going to see two clips from two videos, and they are videos which are captured by the two officers on their body-worn cameras. And I've had a conversation with some of you before about our body-worn cameras. They're Axon body-worn cameras. They're attached to an officer by a magnet system on the center of the shirt. I'll give you a picture of how they are attached. Like anything in the world, they're not perfect. They attach by a quarter turn and they pull off, so there's always a case that they can be knocked off or turned off. The videos that you'll see, there's going to be some obvious enhancements. They'll be readily apparent to you, but we didn't have it done in any other way except for time. There is graphic content on this, so we tried to, we wanted to get this quickly, so there's some colorful language, and there's also very depiction of the shooting itself, which is a violent incident, so I want to warn you about this. We're going to start here with some information. This is at about 1:30 a.m. 911 center here received a phone call from a resident in the area of the 1300 block of Forrester that there was an individual going through, looking into vehicles, trying door handles, etc. And we have a clip of this 911 call that we're going to play for you this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm calling to report. I'm seeing a guy walking around looking at vehicles in my street.
Where at?
So it's in the 3000 block of Bonita Drive, southeast.
And is he wearing weapons too?
I can't tell if it's too far away. I just noticed I'm going from house to house looking at these all the big cars.
Okay, when did you?
So I'm down the street.
Okay, when did you last see him?
Like 3 minutes ago.
Okay, did you see what he was wearing?
It looked like a coat. I don't see him anymore. But it looked like he was like dressed with a coat. He was carrying a bag.
Officers in the area were dispatched. It's a two-officer car was dispatched, so there's going to be a driver and passenger. And from the videos, we can tell that they observed a man standing in the area that was indicated by the caller. This is a still shot from the video you're about to see, and what you're seeing in the still shot, what you can look for, is the individual being encountered with the bag and the coat, pointing his gun at the police
Out
officer.
here in Forrester, but Forrester is the second one.
This is obviously depicted from the passenger's point of view. You can see two distinct point of view as they take different routes as they're going after the suspect. You also see emergency lights flashing right here to let those present know they're...
Hey, hold up! Stop! Stop!
Slowed it down here. You can see the individual here pointing his gun directly at this officer.
Fuck me. Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Tag, I'm coming over to you. Let me get in front of you.
What you're going to see is a still shot here from the driver's point of view. And he goes the other way around that parked motorhome.
Getting to the Forrester. There's somebody right there. Sam? Sam, Tammy's got a bag. I hit the overhead.
The officer saying that there's a guy right there who's got a bag.
Hey, hold up! Stop! Come here! Let me see your hand! Let me see your hand! Something in his hand! Drop the gun!
Video here has been slowed down so you can see that's the same picture of this man here is pointing the gun at this officer's partner.
Priority traffic. Subject here just pulled a firearm. Shots have been fired. Start us near the eye. Put your hands up to the side! Over your head! Yep. Yep. Show me your hand! 1965. Did my traffic get out? Show me your hand! Paper. Show me your hand! Put your hands up to the side! Show me your hand! Put your hands up to the side now! Show me your hands now! Say, are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Yeah. I don't fucking know.
This is a still shot from body worn camera of responding officers of the handgun which was found next to the individual. So, said this was edited for time so that we could get it to you as soon as possible. There's a lot of video, obviously before the response, a lot of video after, and there were dozens of officers which arrived from the Grand Rapids Police Department, Kentwood, Wyoming, and Kent County Sheriff's Department. So there's dozens of other video. We just didn't have the time to assemble that all together, but we thought it was important to get what we could to you today, and happy to take any questions if you have any at this time.
Did that other video include the dash cam from the patrol unit too?
We do have dash cam video of this. I can tell you, describe what you see on it is exactly what you see in these videos, but from a distance. It's a very good video. It shows kind of an overall, but it doesn't get much more detailed than the video that we have here. And to provide that would have taken time. It would have taken us past the 4:30 mark that we were shooting for today.
Chief, do you know the condition of the suspect?
I do. So he's alert and conscious. He is still in serious condition, but he's expected to survive.
I think I counted 5 or 6 shots. Have you been able to count?
I haven't made that determination, mainly because on these, the audio recording on these body-worn camera systems, they're not perfect, and the sound that one officer's gun can make can be picked up on the other individuals. So we're guessing somewhere between 6 and 10. The Michigan State Police probably by now have an exact count with shell casings, and they've examined the officer's guns, but I don't have that information yet.
This is an example, I think, of how potentially fast things can change in a situation. Can you talk about that this was a person, that was suspected of rummaging through cars, and then for officers to find that they're armed?
Yeah, couldn't say it any better. That's exactly it. burglaries to automobiles, larcenies from automobiles are a fairly common, unfortunate occurrence in urban areas. And this, in my experience, having dealt with dozens, if not hundreds, of similar crimes as a beat officer, I've never encountered one where the individual who I was chasing then pulled a fully loaded 9mm handgun and pointed it at me. So, as you said, you know, there's a lot of unpredictability in our profession here, and it's very well said.
Can you talk about, you know, at the end of the video, the officers are asking the suspect to show them their hands. To people who are watching this at home, they might be wondering, well, this guy was just shot. Why are they asking you to do that? Can you explain that? Explain that.
And I haven't spoken in detail to the officers, except we just get very limited information, public safety information, which way were the shots fired, how many shots did you think were fired, is there more offenders outside. We'll get that information in the coming days, and the Michigan State Police will also get that information. But in my viewing of the video, and I've watched it obviously more than the media assembled here has, it looks to me like the individual is conscious, he's possibly talking, and still for whatever reason, although there was a gun right next to him, he was not still cooperating at that point.
But in terms of rendering aid after, because is that, did the officers do that as soon as, you know?
Yeah, as soon as it was safe, and that's the balance, to make sure that they can get to the point where even though they can see that this person's alert and he has a handgun readily accessible, that they can safely approach without there being a need to further engage with potentially deadly force or have that force directed towards those officers. But they came up with a safety plan. Obviously, it was after this video ended, and the individual was rendered aid and taken to the hospital, obviously, which is where he is right now.
Chief, can you talk a little bit about why it was so important for you to get this video out? I mean, it's less than 24 hours, 12 hours since this happened, and you said you had a deadline for yourself. Why was that so important?
I think in this day and age, as you know, video becomes more ubiquitous and they're everywhere. If it's not body-worn camera video, it's dash cam video, it's cell phone video, it's ring door cameras. There's so much of it that we're in a place in, especially in policing, and coming off of our a previous officer-involved policing, we've had 2 since April 4th now. But especially since that one, there is a demand from the public that if they know there's video out there, they want to see the video. And in the spirit of transparency, I think it's important to build that trust. If we have the ability to show it and it's not going to negatively impact criminal investigation, I think it's incumbent upon us to do so as fast as possible for that transparency.
Is it standard procedure to pursue on foot like that if there's 2 officers involved versus 1?
This was, yeah, I didn't see anything wrong procedure-wise. This is seems like textbook how I would chase somebody if I was chasing somebody who's breaking into cars. Absolutely.
Some of those gunshots, did it hit cars, homes in the area, things of that nature? Do you know?
So the line of fire where those officers were directing their fire towards, there's a very large park there, and so any bullet which you know, kind of went straight or didn't hit the ground, it appears that it would have ended up in the park harmlessly.
Okay. And what about the 2 officers involved? I know that they're on admin leave right now. Can you tell us a little bit more about their history? I believe you didn't know as much earlier today. They
both got less than 10 years on. As far as a disciplinary history, they don't have any disciplinary history of note. Neither one of them's been in a high-profile incident like this, or certainly they've never been in an officer-involved shooting. They have great reputations. I spoke to both of them this morning, and both very shaken up, but I'll be talking to him again later today as well.
What about the suspect? Does he have a past history that you guys now know of?
Suspect has, he does have a criminal history of some sort. I don't want to give out too information because I think that's going to be more the realm of Michigan State Police to provide that information.
Can you tell us the suspect's race?
Yeah, the suspect's, well, by the time I arrived on scene, the suspect was at the hospital, but I did examine his government ID, which says he's white.
Since you joined, you've been pressing the sanctity of life and the new kind of procedures that are moving forward. Are you seeing that your officers who are responding to scenes like this, are they implementing new policies that you guys are working on? Is it different from that of even a couple of months ago? So
we have a really robust review of all of our uses of force, and not, fortunately, these are not that common. Officer-involved shootings are not that common. But we have a training unit which consists of 4 individuals, 2 supervisors, and 2 police officers. And after every use of force now, we're going through, fortunately, this body-worn camera, and almost all of them, reviewing the body-worn camera. And a lot of times I'll take it upon myself, because I get a daily report of what happened the day before, and I'll go upon myself and I'll review those cameras, or I'll talk to the training unit, or I'll talk to internal affairs to see what they're saying. And with my own eyes, I have seen just a level of professionalism that I think the people of Grand Rapids would be very impressed with the really embracing the sanctity of life idea.
And Chief, you just said that since the April 4th incident, you've had 2 additional officer-involved shootings. It does seem from our numbers as we're tracking it that it is at a higher uptick than years past. Are you seeing more, what's the word, contention, I guess, between the police and the community right now?
Well, I'd say if you just look at strict numbers, there have been 9 officer-involved shootings in the last 10 years. 3 of them in the past 5.5 months since I've been here. So that is alarming, but I think if you look at them individually, you know, this is this is not a very common occurrence that we have someone breaking into cars that then has a fully loaded 9mm handgun that points at the police officer. So the one before that was involved in a stolen car, which you know that we've had this uptick in stolen cars, which fortunately we've seen a drop coming. So it's tough to make a broad statistical analysis when 9 is not a big number to see. I think 3 officer-involved shootings in my time here I wasn't expecting. I hope that we go a very long time, as long as possible, without another one.
Can you tell us any more about the suspect, age, is he from the area?
I can't tell you. He's 26. He does live in the area.
Have you been in contact with the suspect's family or any relatives?
We have not, but I'm sure, having done this previously myself, I'm sure the Michigan State Police has done that.
Because they're investigating?
Yes, that's correct.
Chief, in your opinion, did the officers do anything wrong here?
Well, I'll tell you this, I'm not going to make a judgment on policy, I'm not going to make a judgment on law, but I think it was important to share with you the videos, and you saw the portions that I highlighted, for example, that the individual very clearly was pointing a fully loaded handgun at my police officers, so I'll just leave it at that.
Have you turned this video over to Chris Becker?
I spoke to Chris Becker earlier today, and he would officially receive this from the Michigan State Police, so that's going to be the conduit for it. But of course, he has total access to it, as does. These are our body-worn cameras, but the State Police got them before we did. And I spoke to the investigators on the State Police side, just to ensure that my release to you and to the city today wasn't going to negatively impact the criminal investigation in some way.
After one of the officers fires, you say they use colorful language, and it's, F me. Can you explain, maybe that level of emotion in this type of situation, because they don't happen all the time, and talk to me about what their reaction has been like to that? It
is, I'll tell you, it would be difficult for me to stand in judgment, because, we hold ourselves to very high professional standards, and I don't expect to hear that language on a regular basis. But I'm not going to stand in judgment of an individual who's just in probably the most traumatic situation that they've ever had, or that they ever will have. So I'm fine with it.
That's it.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
Do you think it highlights the pure shock that humans feel in a situation like that?
Absolutely, that's a very good way to say it. And you never know until you're in one of those situations. You never know what words are going to come out of your mouth or how you're going to react. Yeah.
Did you say this morning, Chief, how many wounds the suspect had? Or
I don't have specifically, so I just heard from the officers on the street that they thought he was hit maybe 3 times. And I don't even know how many rounds were fired by the officers. I can't quite tell, but I'm sure that the State Police have that information right now, but they haven't shared it with me at this time. Yeah.
Where on his body was he hit?
And I don't know about that. I know he was hit multiple times, but I'm not positive.
Does this highlight, the dangers of the job that you guys have? I mean, we're rarely, I've covered stories like this before in the past. Rarely does the guy have the gun pointed at the officer.
Yeah, this is it's a unique situation, but it's the sort of thing that in policing we sort of deal with the unexpected on a day-to-day basis, in situations that you might encounter that you think this is going to be come out right. We're kind of trained to think that there is the potential for everything to go in a way that you didn't expect. How to train for it, how to deal with it. Watching what I've seen from these officers on this video, their training came into play, and they did it exactly how I would expect to act myself in this circumstance.
When you said the video was cut for time purposes, will the investigation, as it unfolds, kind of show how long, I think Julie mentioned, but how long it took for the officers to go render aid, and what what the aid looked like from the other officers, I guess, do you plan to?
I think by that, and yeah, I haven't watched all the videos. Like I said, there were if you told me there were 75 officers that eventually responded, I would believe you because you know, this was a call of this intensity. You're going to get that response. So there's a lot of video. I haven't watched all of them, but I know that when all that video does become available, we'll be able to put that all together easily. Yeah, and I'm sure that'll be part of the Michigan State Police's determination as well. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come down and hear from us again, twice in one day. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Chief, the suspect, he didn't fire. No.
Not that I can tell from the video, but again, if you told me, no, they made that determination, I wouldn't absolutely be shocked because it's not the best quality.
I meant the suspect's gun. It wasn't fired.
Not that I can tell from the video.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but no guarantees.
Sure.
Sure. Thanks, John. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.